Hang on a minute. Are they becoming is something... Looks like it could be a belter of a transfer window for Spurs right now. The excitement is going... But can they become title challengers? That's what we're going to look into in this video. We're going to put forward the current state of play in terms of the money available and have a look at the early links, the early signings that Spurs have already made. They're looking to get their business done early doors. And then talk about how there are still a few gaps, a few final pieces possibly of the puzzle that Paratici and Conte need to kind of get in place to get this Spurs side moving in a direction that I don't think it's... We were wondering, weren't we? Would they get back to that level where they can actually become title challengers once again? And maybe, although it is in the shell of Spurs, and Spurs fans will agree with this, where, it normally kind of falls apart. The pieces of the puzzle that are being put together. A lot of P's today. Something's happening here. Let's dive into this. Let's start off with the money available. By the way, if you haven't checked out the video that we did on Arsenal and how they would look to close the gap on Spurs, make sure you go check out that one. We're also going to be doing different clubs as well, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments down below who you would like us to take a look at next. In terms of the money available, it looks like Spurs have a transparent £150 million to spend following the capital injection a few weeks ago. This must have been a very clear promise for Conte when he took the role that he would be able to spend big in the transfer window. And Daniel Levy has chucked it on the table here, really. And 150 million off the bat. You also have the pulling power of Antonio Conte, which is huge. A massive blessing for Spurs, who have never behaved like this. And then actually the other great thing is that you have some assets that are really, really sellable right now. Lo Celso's had an incredible loan move at Villarreal. They're very, very interested in him. And of course, Ndombele should garner some kind of fee from them as well. So that should just allow them to become most likely the biggest spenders in the transfer window this summer. Right, let's have a look at some of the early summer links and the transfers that have happened already. Fraser Forster, wow. Then Perisic on a free, which is, a great little bit of business. I don't think he's going to change the world, but tactically he will allow Conte to kind of go up to that next level and could allow him to recreate the kind of system that he had at Inter Milan, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But to get him on a free is great. He offers great energy. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on in the Premier League, but I think he's a safe bet in terms of the output that you're going to get from a left wing back. And then, of course, you've got Bissouma. Now, Bissouma is really, really interesting to me because, for Brighton, he's sort of sat there as a defensive midfielder, but has the quality on the ball as well. That's why he's been so exciting for them. But with Bentancur there and Højbjerg there as well, there's still a gap missing, which we'll dive into a little bit later on. I know it's one that he has previously filled, but I still think there's something missing when it comes to Tottenham. We actually have put forward one option as well already. Christian Eriksen is one of those early links, of course. We've done a whole video on why Spurs should go and sign him, so go check that out when you get a chance. But here are some of the other links towards Spurs at the moment. Alessandro Bastoni. This would have been the first name I'd have down as a transfer target for Spurs, but it's been made clear that he's not going to be leaving Inter this window. Pau Torres. Torres seems to be the clear second choice for Spurs, given that they can't get their hands on Bastoni. This would make sense given Villarreal's interest in Lo Celso. Weston McKennie. McKennie is a player that was linked with a move back in January and now seems to be on the Spurs radar again. Interested to see Spurs fans' thoughts on this one. Do you really need him now that you've got Bissouma? Is that dead in the water? I think it might well be. And as we spoke about Christian Eriksen, a move for Eriksen doesn't seem to be ruled out either. With Conte already signing one of his favourite ex-players, Ivan Perisic, this window already. In terms of outgoings, Joe Rodon. Rodon could leave Spurs this window, having not really established himself at Tottenham, and with Rob Page, the Wales manager, publicly stating that he wants his players playing regularly before the World Cup. Lo Celso, as we spoke about, Villarreal seem to be really big fans of him, and after impressed on loan there, you would imagine they would make that move permanent. And Ndombele, not linked with a move as of yet, but it looks like his services aren't required anymore at Spurs. Right, let's talk weaknesses for Spurs first and foremost going into this new season. I mean, looking back from last season, I think the first weakness is the fact that the main source of the goals for the side comes from that front three, which makes them, dare I say it, a a little bit one-dimensional, and it means that you have to play with this front three. And what I think Conte will want to have is options. You know, you're going into a Champions League campaign, and for any team that's in Europe, you need to be able to change some of those parts to allow the team to remain fresh and allow the team to be competitive and to win games. And when it comes to that midfield, Bentancur and Højbjerg, I know they're playing a very different style, and we're just looking at last season, and the whole point is to evolve. But in terms of shots per 90, 0.93 and 0.87 shots per 90 out of those two, the goals aren't going to come from them. So the problem with that, as I said, forces them to play a front three to have a goal threat. Whereas when you think about Conte at Inter Milan, Eriksen, despite not scoring that often for Inter Milan, he provided that attacking threat, but also allowed Inter to play with a three-man midfield. Having a three-man midfield would make it harder for the opposition whilst retaining that attacking threat through the middle. I think in those Champions League games against elite opposition, Conte's going to want to play a midfield three and to kind of work around the sides, use the wing-backs again like he did at Inter Milan with Perisic and Hakimi. And one final stat that kind of proves this when it comes to a two-man midfield is that Bentancur and Højbjerg were averaging less than one key pass per game. So it's an area where they need to improve. Another area that is a real weakness is the XA of the wing-backs. You look at Reguilon, first of all, he finished the season with an expected assist of 4 from 25 matches. Now, this is okay for a fullback, but if you want to play a wing-back system, which Conte often does, then that's not really enough. And that's why Perisic has been captured for his persistent output. However, there is still a slight weakness on the right-hand side. If you think of the output of Doherty and Emerson, they accumulated only 1.8 and 2.1 XG over the course of the season. Conte has worked in two different ways, right? He's had an asymmetric system, which worked really well at Chelsea, if you remember Alonso and Azpilicueta on the other side. But at Inter Milan, they look to have Perisic and Hakimi. So that might be another area in terms of weakness. And if we're focusing on a team that wants to go and win titles, then actually you need to have both those wing-backs bombing on a lot of the time to allow the opposition to sort of sit back, to put the dominance on them. And in particular, allow Son and Harry Kane, if you were to play a front two, to stay high up the pitch. Do not be alarmed. It's just a haircut. Yes, I've had a little bit of trim upstairs and quite possibly downstairs as well, because summer is coming. The sun is shining, shirts are off, and the balls are smooth. That's right. That's right. Your friends at Manscaped are here to ensure that your beach balls are as smooth as Floridian sand. In the summer, you want to kill some cold beers and barbecues possibly as well, but you do not want to kill the vibe with pubes hanging out of your Speedos, if you guys are wearing Speedos right now, and more importantly, you know, later in the evening. And that's why Manscaped has created its Performance Package 4.0 to keep the party in your pants clean, crisp, and refreshing all summer long. Dive headfirst into summer by joining the 4 million men who trust Manscaped worldwide. And if you head into the description, you can get yourself 20% off using my code Allcott20. The Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to prepare that summer bod. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag for all your goodies. The Lawnmower 4.0 has 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, and it gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. And one of my favourite things, believe it or not, is one of the 2 free gifts. You get a travel bag, but actually, importantly, you get some really good boxers. Really, really comfortable Manscaped boxers. So as I said, the link is in the description. If you want to get yourself 20% off and free shipping, make sure you use the code Allcott20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code Allcott20. This is the summer to turn your package into the full package at manscaped.com. Right, areas to strengthen then. We're going to give 4 options here. First of all, a left-sided centre-back. Ben Davies has been class under Conte. He's been so good. But I still think they're going to want to strengthen that area, of course, with the Champions League football on its way as well. And if Ben Davies, has to play sometimes as a left wing-back, so be it. But I think he will continue to sort of get games for them, and he's a great deputy in a number of positions. But they will want that little bit of star power. And in particular, it's a good time to do it. There's a lot of left-sided, left-footed centre-backs available available at the moment, and often they cost a premium. So I know Conte has that money to spend, but you want to spend it wisely, and so that would be a very key area to get sorted out this season before they all get snapped up, and then they're going to cost even more. A creative 8. So we were talking about Basuma and how he's come in and will be a really exciting player for Tottenham. Might lead to a double pivot with Bentancur, and or maybe Højbjerg plays as a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder and a bit more of a destroyer, but I still think you need that creative 8. That is why they're linked with Christian Eriksen. And if you want to be able to experiment that a little bit and to allow yourself to have that midfield 3, Basuma, Højbjerg and Bentancur ultimately are players who play a little bit more defensively, play in front of the back 4 or back 3 as it might be with Spurs. So a creative 8 I think is still a must. As we spoke about earlier, an attacking right wing back I think would be a must as well if you want to have both of them playing up, and as I said, allow Harry Kane and Son to stay higher up the pitch as well, and a versatile forward. Now Spurs have a front 3 that were brilliant last season. They balance, they work really well together, their strengths kind of complement each other in Son, Kane and Kulusevski, and he had great output from Kulusevski of course as well. But after that, you've then got someone like Lucas Moura, who I like. I love his work rate, and I don't think he had a bad season last year, but there is a lack of goals there, which has to be a massive drawback. Maybe that's down to the fact that Son and Harry Kane are the focus for that. But Moura's got 9 goals in total in his last 3 Premier League seasons. That's not really good enough. The problem is that Spurs often struggle to recruit a striker because, look, Harry Kane's there, so you're never going to get a game of football. So I think the way around that is to get yourself a versatile forward, someone who can play along that front line, and so at times he will get more game time because he's not always playing through the middle. He'll be playing on the left or playing on the right as well. So 2 options for each position. What we've done here as well is we've kept in mind is the fact that Paratici, of course, is there, Conte is there, and there looks like from the moves that have been made so far, the focus will be Premier League players or players from Serie A. Now, personally, I think it will be Pau Torres who they bring in. I think that would be a really, really solid option for them to do so. And so if that is the case, so be it. But we want to give you some other options because, you know, this is the transfer window. Sometimes players don't go to where you think they're going to go to. So you need that backup. So first off, Josko Gvardiol at Leipzig, plays in a 3, 20 years old, hot prospect for RB Leipzig, who only ever really sell at the right price. He's pacey, left-footed, as I've spoken about. There's a few out there at the moment, and would fit into that system really, really well. It would be a worthwhile investment for someone, especially at 20, but he will cost a premium, could cost upwards of 40 million, but Spurs have the money right now, and the business that they've done so far has been so clever that they might have that little bit extra to go for that premium asset at centre-back. I don't think Spurs will do this, but if they did want to go for a cheaper option, a more shrewd signing, Facundo Medina, he's another naturally left-footed player. He was in fine form last season for Lens in Ligue 1. 23-year-old as well, so he's just coming into the prime years of his career. I think capturing him now, and that's the great thing about Ligue 1, is that they have so much talent, but at the same time you can get it for that little bit cheaper. It could be a shrewd one if you spent your money elsewhere to go and get him for something like £15 million. Creative 8. Now, we've spoken about Eriksen, and that feels like a very easy move, right? But Spurs aren't messing about this summer. They're putting the balls on the table. Simple as that, right? And I just wonder if they would want to go and snatch Yuri Tillemans from Arsenal, because it would just be a stunning power move. And he is there, and he will be moving this summer, in my opinion. He's got a perfect profile for this creative 8 position. Still offers something defensively in terms of the mindset. He's willing to make those tackles, but just has great vision. Very similar, actually, to Christian Eriksen. Of course, would cost a lot more, but he's 5 years younger than the Dane as well. Having said that, you know, he's just into the last 12 months of his contract. He's not playing for a team in the Champions League. He will be moving this summer because I think people want to kind of make that step and just get him and get it done because he's such a fantastic player. Would maybe cost £40 million, but Spurs have that. And I think if they go and get someone like that, you then look at that midfield and you go, wow, this team has pretty much everything you need to start to grow, feed that plant of that squad and start to become title challengers. It would piss Arsenal fans off as well, massively. A different option, if we're having a look at Serie A, Lorenzo Pellegrini. He's a brilliant player. He's been played in a more advanced position, kind of alongside the striker for Jose Mourinho this season at Roma, but he has had a quality season. He can play on the left of a midfield three, has done so for Italy as well, so he clearly has it in his locker. His talent isn't really spoken about. He's also a leader, currently captain of Roma, so that might make it a bit more expensive to take away your captain and for him to move to Tottenham. Is it worth spending 50 million? Maybe not. But is he a quality player who would work and offer different options for Antonio Conte? Yeah, definitely. At the time of recording, Jed Spence has not signed for Spurs. That said, I think he is obviously heavily linked. It looks like that will get done, and I do think he is the ideal man to go there where you're not spending too much money, and it's just an amazing set of events where it looks like he fell out with Neil Warnock at Middlesbrough, then goes on loan. This guy wasn't even playing for Middlesbrough last season. I know they've got Isaiah Jones, but he is a player that I think will step into the Premier League. That sort of double jump of going into the Spurs side could be tricky for him. I will say that. You know, look at Sessegnon, who's now finding his feet, but he's someone who absolutely killed it in the Championship and has taken time to find his feet in the Premier League. And so that might be the case for Jed Spence as well. So if that move doesn't happen for whatever reason, or doesn't work out for whatever reason, then maybe there are some other options out there as well. Nahuel Molina, Udinese right wing back, very attacking wing back, and I think that's the focus when it comes to this position. Is look, you've got Matt Doherty, you've got Emerson Royale. The output's not there in terms of XA, and so for Jed Spence, if he comes in, then so be it. But Molina as well, he's had a wonderful season at Udinese in Serie A this year. 24 years old, I think you get from about 20 million. His form has earned him a spot in the Argentina squad as well. He could keep Romero happy as well as another Argentinian coming into the squad. Having those sort of attacking options would be really, really useful for Spurs in that right wing position. A second option, a more cheap option, Hans Hatterber. He's a player who's not as dynamic as Jed Spence or Molina, but he would be a very useful option on the right for Spurs, given the fact that he's 28, has Champions League experience, and will be coming from Serie A, so it's one where you could imagine Paratici and Conte would kind of know just how good he is. He's also going to be that little bit cheaper. I think he would cost around 10 million quid, so maybe not the first choice, but a cheaper alternative. Right, versatile forwards. I'm looking forward to this one, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Richarlison, initially, when I was looking at it, I was like, that doesn't really work for Spurs. Why would he go to Spurs? But this could be quite a sort of an exciting challenge for everyone, really, because Richarlison could play in that Son role. Richarlison could play in that Harry Kane role. Richarlison could play in that Kulusevski role. So in terms of that versatility, I mean, he's primed for that. And in terms of maybe the ego of the guy, the career trajectory of the guy as well, he's a player that I think would go in and look at Kulusevski and go, I'm better than you. He might have that, mindset. This is a Brazilian international. So going and getting him adds incredible depth. And in terms of the match day squad, because I think that's important as well, is, okay, you've got your first 11, but you need options off the bench. These are the kind of signings that Man City make, that Chelsea make, where they have a bench and you're looking at it and you're going, what? And maybe that's where Spurs are trying to get themselves. And really, they're going to have to be very lucky with injuries for them to really achieve anything of real substance if they don't have that depth. So although Everton value him at £60 million, the more I look at it now, the more I like, yeah, Richarlison does make sense to me. Really, really does. Conte's tactics are often kind of designed to exploit space in transition. And that's what he's been having to do over the last few years at Everton as well, a team that's been lower down the league. He's got everything that you would need to be actually quite disruptive in a positive way, influence in this Spurs squad. Again, if 60 million's a bit too much and you want to calm it down a bit, Giacomo Raspadori, the Sassuolo left winger or centre forward were the two positions that he played, so does have that versatility. He doesn't have the physicality of Richarlison, which I guess would be a bit of a concern, standing at only 5'7", which is not a bad height at all, and I have no problem with it. I think it's a good height, personally. But he does have that similar playing style, I think, in terms of Richarlison, in terms of the positions that he wants to get into. 22 years old, so kind of a prospect for the future as well, but you could also use him in rotation. He was involved in 15 goals in Serie A last season for Sassuolo. So he's one that would cost less, 25 to 30 million, and again, is one that I think would come in, be good rotation, but might be one that won't kick up too much of a fuss initially, and might be someone that you can sell on if it doesn't work out. So there you have it, guys. Spurs on the attack. Could they? Could they? I mean, they could. But could they? Let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling about this Spurs squad. If you're a rival fan, do you think they'll actually do anything, or do you think it'll all blow up in their face? Or is Antonio Conte the man to finally deliver the bloody trophy so we can stop talking about Spurs not winning trophies? Let me know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Let me know whichever teams you want me to tuck into, and I'll see you next time.